Okay, guys, so what we are trying to look at is the synthetic division for the polynomial to the third degree. So usually the first thing you have to do is to find the first root. You know, a cubic function which has the first degree to the which has the third degree must have about 3 roots. So it means we are going to have x is equal to a value, but the x values must be 3 in number. So usually we call there is a method we call the try and error method. So what are we talking about here? You just try something. Try to use the value of x, any value of x, and substitute into the equation. And if the entire equation is equal to 0, then that value of x qualifies to be the root or the 0 of the function. So usually you start from positive 1, then if it does not work, you use negative 1, you continue up to maybe 3 or negative 3. So in this case, what we need to do is to try the first value we want to try now is positive 1. If it does not work out, we use negative 1. If it does not work out, we use positive 2, negative 2, positive 3, negative 3 until the entire equation is equal to 0. So in this case now, we take the entire equation as you can see and plug in positive 1. You plug in positive 1 wherever you see x. So you put it on your calculator, and if the entire calculation gives you 0, then the x value which gives us 0 now is 1. So we can call that x is equal to 1 to be our first 0 or our first root. Since there are 3 roots, we need to find the other 2 roots. So in this case, we are going to draw this line. This is what we call the synthetic division line. So this line helps us to say, if you look at the equation here, we draw the line and we move it up. Now, all the values here, you can see that they are part of the equation. If you look at the original equation, we have positive 1x cubed, negative 2x squared, negative 5x, then positive 6. So I rewrite all those values as you can see them here. Positive 1 minus 2 minus 5 plus 6. So I list them on this horizontal line. Now, on the other side, this vertical line here, on the right hand side of the vertical line, is the value of x, that first value of x which you substitute into the equation. That is what you are going to write here. So whichever value that you put into the equation which gives you 0, that value of x, you put it here. Now, below this horizontal line, there are values here. How do we get these values? The first thing you need to do is make sure whatever value you write here is called the coefficient of x cubed. So if it is minus 2 here, just write minus 2 here. If it is 1 here as it is, you write plus 1 here. Then below here, whatever you write as the first coefficient, you must repeat it here. If you have negative 5 here, you must write negative 5 here. So it means that in the original equation, whatever we write on top of the horizontal line, we will repeat it also at the bottom here. You must take note of that. Now, the next thing I want you to remember is how do we get the rest of the value. So I've told you already, the first value below the horizontal line is the repetition of the one on top here. Okay, so now what I'm going to say is that all the values you get below this line, use them to multiply the roots and then write the result on top here. Okay, so this one here multiplies the root here. So 1 times 1 will give us positive 1. Why didn't we write on top of this value here? We cannot write anything here because we have repeated this number below. So there is no need to write any number on top. So if we repeat this number and we multiply by the root, whatever we get must be written on top of the next value or the next term of the cubic function. Okay, so now this times 1 will give us positive 1. Then you see vertically, you just do your calculation. On your calculator, you say plus 1 minus 2. It will give you minus 1. Then I told you already that whatever you get below here, use it to multiply here. So now -1 times 1 will give us -1. We write it to the next, on top of the next term. This is -1. Then you already have -5. So on your calculator, you see -1, -5. It will give you -6. Whatever you get here, -6, use it to multiply the root here. Again, it gives you -6 because -6 times 1 will give us -6. Now -6 plus this value will give us 0. Remember that all these vertical values are adding to give you the results at the bottom. But whatever value you get at the bottom, you use it to multiply the root here and write it. Now, when you are doing synthetic division, one thing you need to remember is that there are 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you find the first root by the try and error method, when you come to use the synthetic division method, it will, because we've got 1 root already, we need 3 more roots. So when you are synthesizing, you're going to have a quadratic equation. Why? You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers here, but the fourth one is already 0. You know, -6 plus 0 will still be the -6 that we have. So all we have, we are not going to count the 0. That is why I've allocated time for you to look at how we go with these arrows here. So we have 1, 2, 3. So these 3 fit into the quadratic equation. In a quadratic equation, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So this is a, this is b, this is c. So I indicated it so that you can remember this. So a, it becomes what? 1x squared minus 1x minus 6 is equal to 0. The rest is history, because at this stage, everybody knows how to factorize the quadratic equation. So we factorize the quadratic equation. X plus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. Then we have the other 2 roots, which you know very well how to do that one. So since we've got 2 roots now, and originally we got 1 root here, it gives us 3 roots, or what we call the zeros of the function. Why do we say they are called zeros of the function? X is equal to 1, x is equal to minus 2, x is equal to 3 are called zeros of the function because when you substitute them in place of the x in this equation, the entire equation will give you 0, as you did in the case of +1. If you like, you can try it on your own. So I have come here to rewrite all. The first one, we got it earlier at the beginning. Then these 2, we've got them. So this is the end of the synthetic division. But I have gone ahead to explain a few things for you. That if these are called roots, we can also convert them into what we call factors. Now, so in this case, if you group like terms, this +1 will become -1. Look at it. X is equal to -2 becomes x plus 2. X is equal to +3 becomes x minus 3 is equal to 0. If you expand these, usually I tell learners that start expanding from the last 2 brackets. So I maintain the first bracket, I first expand the last 2 brackets, I get the results, I simplify it, I get a quadratic, like the original quadratic that we got earlier. Then after that, you expand with the first bracket. Eventually, you will arrive at the original equation. Look at it. If you compare, you see that these equations are the same. This is what we are getting. It looks like the original one, exactly so. So from this place, I'm just trying to show you how to check that your solution is correct. So basically, this is what we have to do. I will send you a few questions, and I would like you to try and use the synthetic division that I have just done to see how best you will be able to determine the 3 roots of the equation. In this case, I can say good luck, guys, and I wish you well in all your studies. If there is need to help you with anything, try to let me know, and I will be able to explain. Once again, have a nice holiday. Thank you.